the Hughes brothers. She really liked them. She had a good relationship with Tupac, and she just didn't want to get in the middle of it. And she thought, like, if she had done that movie, it would have been a little weird.
What's happening, baby?
I wasn't in that bathroom, but, you know, could have happened. But you're in the bathroom with this man taking a bath. So I don't know.
For years, people believed Vanilla Ice vanished from the music scene because he simply couldn't hang. They said he was a one-hit wonder, a gimmick, a white boy in a black man's game who just couldn't handle the pressure. But that couldn't be further from the truth. As it turns out, Vanilla Ice didn't get pushed out of the music industry. He walked away. And the reason? It's darker than anyone could have imagined. MC Hammer recently dropped a bombshell. He revealed the real reason Vanilla Ice disappeared from the spotlight. He refused to sell his soul. Back in the early 90s, Vanilla Ice was the biggest rapper in the world.
On set in New Orleans talking about that experience, I said, well, Jada, I talked to the Hughes brothers and you were supposed to be in the movie. And she says, I was. I said, why didn't you do the movie? That they kept saying they had the character Delilah, you know, who was the sister of Juanita, okay? You was gonna be this revolutionary thing. And she was like, I just couldn't do it because at the time I was really close with Tupac, and Tupac had this sort of beef at the time with the Hughes brothers.
Ice Ice Baby wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural phenomenon. His album To the Extreme shattered records, going on to sell over 15 million copies. He was the first rapper to top the Billboard charts, and for a moment, it looked like nothing could stop him. But behind the glitz and glam, a twisted game was unfolding, one that Ice wanted no part of. Industry gatekeepers came knocking. The same people who once saw dollar signs in Ice's success now had other plans. They invited him to secretive parties, the kind whispered about in late-night interviews and buried under NDAs.
Hughes was like, Tupac, why are you acting like a bitch? You're acting like a bitch right now. You acting like a straight bitch. Let's step outside. This is what I hear.
I'm pretty sure that kind of fucked him up when he showed up at the set and he wanted to get down with him. Like, nigga, we finna go up here and fuck up some shit. It ain't finna be no talking, ain't finna be no, you know, explaining. Tupac, like, we finna pull straight up there because he probably knew they're not gonna do anything. So let's just go up in there and start some shit.
We know them today as Diddy parties, but back then, they were just as disturbing. Freak-offs, as some have since called them. These weren't ordinary industry mixers. According to actor Terrence Howard and others who've dared to speak out, these were rituals. Twisted rites of passage where young male artists were allegedly manipulated, compromised, and blackmailed.
Check this out, they fired me but did it in a roundabout punk snitch way. So I caught them on the streets and beat they behinds. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like, I was a to the Hughes brothers. And it ain't over. I still got more than Don't jump to the TV.
Terrence called it losing your man card. Once it's gone, you don't get it back. You give up your dignity, your soul, your manhood. And once you've crossed that line, the industry owns you. For life. Vanilla Ice saw it all unfolding, the pressure to conform, to dirty up, his image to play along in exchange for more fame and longevity. He refused, and in doing so, he became a target. MC Hammer could relate. He too was told to change, to darken his image in order to move more records.
You know, understanding that Pac and I had a hard time understanding why it just we didn't have it. And I talk about it in the book, you know, that being on the back porch of my house and we're like having this discussion. I'm like, okay, Pac, just kiss me.
But like Ice, he never folded. Neither of them ever attended one of those infamous freak-off parties. And because of that, the industry labeled them outsiders. Too clean, too real. While others bowed to the pressure, Ice resisted. And the consequences were brutal.
Kisses me, and it's the most disgusting kiss between us both. I mean, he pulled back just like, and I pulled back, and I was like, see, dummy? You know, and from there, it was just like, and then there was one more time. He kissed me, and it was just like, and I talk about that in jail when I go to see him in Dannemora. that's a whole nother thing. And once again, it's just like, dude, doesn't work.
He was mocked, blacklisted, and publicly humiliated. The media labeled him a fraud. They said he lied about his background, that he couldn't rap, that he didn't belong. But behind closed doors, it was clear. He had become a threat to the system because he didn't play by their rules. The attacks weren't just verbal. According to long-standing rumors, Suge Knight once dangled Vanilla Ice over a balcony to extort royalties. The story's been debated, but one thing's for sure, Suge hated him. Not because Ice stole anything, but because he was successful without playing the game. Even Tupac, Suge's own artist, saw through the nonsense and showed Ice nothing. But respect. They were friends before Pac blew up, back when Vanilla Ice was opening for Digital Underground, and NWAMC Hammer confirmed that despite public perception, he and Ice were never rivals. In fact, they were close friends with mutual admiration. Hammer saw Ice perform in all-black clubs, dancing and rapping fearlessly as the lone white kid in the room. He wasn't pretending, he wasn't cosplaying, he was just doing him. And people respected that. At least the real ones did, but the industry didn't care about real. They wanted control. And when Ice wouldn't bend, they tried to break him. He was offered unimaginable success if he'd just give in. Permanent A-list status, endorsements, collaborations. But instead, Ice dipped. He walked away before they could own him. He knew what was coming, and he chose peace over fame. Of course, the media painted a different picture. They said he flopped, burned out, got lost in drugs. But in reality, Ice pivoted. He took his money, invested smartly, and built a successful real estate empire. While others crashed and burned chasing the spotlight, Ice found peace in the shadows and profit. Suge Knight, he's behind bars until his 60s. Ice, he's still thriving. And MC Hammer, still standing, still respected. He never compromised either. Hammer may have rocked flashy pants and danced across stages, but behind the scenes, he was a real one, a certified gangster, Oakland bred, untouchable. Nobody dared cross him, not even Diddy. They knew better. That's why Hammer and Ice got along so well. They were cut from the same cloth, morally grounded, fiercely independent, and unbreakable. They didn't need freak-offs or blackmail to make it to the top. They got there on talent, and when the cost got too high, they walked away with their integrity intact. In a world that demands submission, staying true to yourself is the biggest rebellion. So next time someone says Vanilla Ice fell off, remember this. He didn't fall. He escaped,